Hello everyone, this is Miss Michaela, and in this video I am going to be reviewing medieval theater. So medieval theater, when was it? I have the 5th to the 15th centuries. So that's a big span of time. It's 1,000 years that was the medieval time period. And this is kind of when we were moving away from the Greek theater that we talked about earlier. Before the medieval times were the Dark Ages, and there wasn't really a whole lot of theater happening, and if there was theater, it was like traveling troops. So people would put together a play, and then they would move from like one place to the next performing it. They didn't really stay in one place to do so. During the medieval time period, the purpose of theater was religion. So most of the plays that were put on during a church service by the Catholic priests. And all of the plays were actually Bible stories. So in this picture here, you can see this is the stage. It's kind of like a parade float, and they would perform plays on these stages, and the plays were like, it's called a cycle, which I have here. And that just means that it would tell a Bible story from beginning to end. And so you would start at one stage, and then when they finished with that part of the Bible story, you would walk over to another stage and see the next part of the Bible story. So it's called a cycle because you would move from one stage to the next. So why did these Bible stories have to be performed? Well, if you remember, we talked in class about how during this time, the Bible was written in Latin, and the entire church service was conducted in Latin, so the people weren't able to understand what they were really learning about in church. But when the priests performed plays that explained what was happening in the Bible stories, then people were finally able to understand what the Bible stories were about, and they could learn from them. People during this time also couldn't read or write, so having the Bible stories acted out for them was really helpful for that as well, because they couldn't really read the Bible, and even if they could read, it was in Latin, so they wouldn't have been able to understand it anyway. So let's look at this picture here first. So if you look here, this is a stage, this is a stage, and this is a stage. So if you were at your church service and you were watching these cycle plays being performed, these Bible stories, you'd probably start at this stage and see a scene from a Bible story. And then when that was done, you and everybody else would walk over here to this stage and watch the next part of the Bible story. So this picture here is kind of a bigger view of what those stages would have looked like. And as you can see, there's like people crowded around them. So you would watch these plays, move from one to the next to the next. And some of the plays, I think, were in Latin and some were in English. So the big takeaways that I have for medieval theater is that, where were they? Outside. If you look here, they had to be outside, because if you were moving from one stage to the next and there was all of these people, it was just easier to have them outside. And then for the medieval time period was the 5th to the 15th century, 1,000 years. It was a really long time. And then when were the plays performed? They were performed during church services or during festivals. If it was a festival, a lot of the times the stages would be like parade floats. And so then the people would stand there and the parade floats would move past so that you could see the one stage's play and then the next. So they happened during church services and festivals. And then the purpose of medieval theater was to demonstrate those Bible stories, because the Bible was in Latin, like I said, and the people weren't really sure what they were learning about in church until the Bible stories started to be acted out. So in the medieval times, theater was used for religious purposes so that the Catholic Church could demonstrate all of the Bible stories that they were teaching. Okay, so I'm going to play a little bit of this play. So this was in 2019. This group of people decided to reenact one of the cycle plays, and it's the Creation and Fall Bible story. So I'll just play some of this for you.
Both more and less, gentles and yeomanry here in this press, we shall you tell, if that we can, when that the world was first began, how God first made both earth and man.
So as you can see here, they're outside in a courtyard, and there's all of these people watching, and the stage is this area here. They don't have an actual stage set up. And if you didn't hear what he was saying in that last part, this narrator, they are about to show how God created man.
This first day my work I do, and make the man Adam by name. In earthly paradise, without a world, I grant thee biding, lest thou do blame.
Flesh of thy flesh, and bone of thy bone. Adam, here is thy wife and mate.
So you can see in this video, these actors are demonstrating how Adam was created and how Eve was created. So just remember that in medieval plays, they were performed outside and they were biblical stories because everything was in Latin.